Hi wonderful people, it's Wild here. Today I'll be showing you how to build a charming cherry cottage using the new 1.20 blocks. This cozy build comes complete with a featured chimney and a sunroom, and I'll show you step by step how to create it. So let's get building. The materials you'll need for this build are on your screen now. Here is the outline for this build. You can see the main outline is marked in with the concrete, and then the concrete powder shows where we've got the chimney and then the sunroom at the back. We're going to start by using some stone brick and mossy stone brick, and using a combination of these just going all the way around the build, and you can see I'm only placing them on the outline of the actual house. So I'm going to skip over this section with the chimney, and I'll skip over this section at the back where we have the sunroom. It's up to you how much of each material you use. You just want to go for a look to give this build a bit more of a lived-in aged appearance. Almost all the way around now. And you can always make adjustments to your texture as you go to get a look you're happy with, and I'm happy with that. Now we're going to be placing in some posts with our stripped cherry logs. I'm going to start by placing them in the four corners, and they're going to be 5 high. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then at the front, I'm going to count 4 blocks across from the 2 posts on the side. 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'll place in a post here. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'll place in one here. And if you've laid out your build correctly, you should have a 3-block gap in the middle, and these 2 posts should be on this entryway curve. Now at the back of the build, I'm going to count 3 blocks across from this post. 1, 2, 3, and place in another. 3 again, 1, 2, 3, and that should line you up with the outline of the sunroom. Now on the 2 side walls, I'll just place a post in the center, and you should see that there should be 3 wide gaps on either side. And it should look like that. I'm going to use a little more of this stripped cherry wood next, and I'm going to connect each of these posts around the outline of the build with a beam. You can see I'm doing this at the 5th block height, which will leave a 4 high gap below. Like this. Next, I'm going to count 3 blocks in from either side and add in a beam going across. 1, 2, 3. This should leave you with a 5 wide gap in the center. I'll then add 1 more beam going the whole length of the build, right down the center, leaving you with a nice grid shape. Next, before we continue the walls, we're going to add in our chimney, as that is going to kind of jut into the space taken up by the walls. I'll start by adding in a small patch of wall just here using a mixture of a calcite, white wool and white concrete powder, and I've built that up 5 high. Now using some stone and mossy stone brick, I'm going to fill in this 5 block section here. Then I'll create a little L shape, like that, and then I'll build up in just these 2 places, leaving out the corner to the full height of this wall. So it should look like this. I'm also going to grab 2 stairs and place them here and here to create a decorative element like that. Continuing up on this chimney, I'm going to add a little 2x2 square here. And then on these back 2, I'm going to go up another 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And as I was texturizing as I go, I'm going to go back and count to make sure I'm at the right height. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, and I've gone 1 too high, so I can chop off that top. So it should look like this. Now we can start adding some more decorative elements in front of this base chimney. Alongside my stairs and blocks, I've also got a stone brick wall, some dark oak trapdoors, and some campfires for this next step. We're going to start by creating a little plus-like shape using stairs, placing them in a circle like this. Then I'll add 2 blocks on top of here, and then a stair on this side with a wall on top. I'll then build 2 up in this location. 1, 2. I'm going to add a campfire on top of that and surround it with some dark oak trapdoors. There we go, the smoke is billowing already. Now for this top section, I'm going to add in 2 more of these stone brick walls on this side and then build 3 up with some more of my stone brick. Then I'll place a campfire on top of that and surround with some more trapdoors. There we go, now that the chimney's in we can get working on the walls. For these walls you'll need calcite, white concrete powder and white wool, and then I've grabbed out some placeholder blocks to help me put in my window locations. On this 4x4 wall we've got a 2x2 window in the centre, and then we've got a 1x2 window on this side. Then I'm going to come round to the left hand side of the build and just place a 2 high window on this back 3 wide section. And on the right hand side of the build we're going to have a window on the front 3 wide section like that. Then on the back of the build we just have a window in the center. I'm also going to add in my locations for the door now, so I'll leave a gap here. Then on the back we're also going to leave a gap, but this is going to be a 3x3 gap. I've got all of these blocked out now, and that means I can just go ahead and start filling in my walls. I'm just going to work on the panels with the windows at the moment, as well as these ones here where there isn't any window. You can see as I do this, I'm just going to be switching between my materials until I get a texturized look that I'm happy with. And don't be afraid of changing things up as you go until you get the desired finish. Here we go. I like to aim to have each wall be unique, and it's up to you the distribution of materials you use. So if you don't have access to much calcite, you could use that sparingly and maybe use mostly wool or concrete powder. There we go. I'm going to do this wall as well, just going around at the top of this doorway. Like that. And onto this final wall now, I'm just going to fill in a 3 wide section around here, leaving out this gap that's behind the chimney. You might need to come inside the build just to see where you're working here. And our build's really starting to take shape now. Now before we do this front door section, I'm going to break these placeholder blocks and start adding in my floor. For this build, I'm going with stripped dark oak logs. They give a really nice finish and they look like large floorboards. You can see I'm going to switch up the orientation of these boards in the main section of the house. That just gives a little more definition to the rooms and makes your floors feel more purposeful. If you'd like to add some really awesome floors to your build, check out my tutorial for 40 different flooring ideas. There you'll find all sorts of inspiration for upgrading your builds. Almost done filling in this section. And I'm just going to stop when I get to this edge here as we start to make our way into the sunroom, like that. Okay, now we can go over to where our door is and add in a cherry blossom door like this. Then I'm going to add in 2 blocks on top, and I'll add in a window on top of that. I'm also going to come around to either side of the ends here and add a block with a 2 high window on top. And now we can start adding in the walls around these locations. So for this front entryway section, I'm going to start by building up 5 high on either side of the door. And once again, I might play around with this texture until I get a good look, and I think that looks great. I'm also going to build up 5 high on this spot here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And I'll play around with these blocks just a little bit more. Let's move this up here, maybe put calcite down the bottom and one in there. That looks good. Okay, now we're going to create a little gable point on top of here just by building 3 across the top of the window and then placing 1 more in the center, like this. Now we have our large gables to place in. So we're going to start by creating a 1 layer high section across the base of here. And I'm just going out till I finish 1 block in from the edge, so it should be 7 blocks across. Then I'm going to come up 2 blocks for the next layer, like this. And you can see I've come 1 in again. Like that. We'll go up 2 blocks again for the next layer. And then finally 2 blocks up for the final layer just in the center. Just like that. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side of this build. Just like this. Now we have 1 smaller gable to add in on this side of the build next to the gable, so I'm going to find this 3 wide gap and build 2 up. 1, 2. Once again, adding in lots of texture as I go. And then in the center, I'll go up another 2 blocks. And we're just about finished with all of our white material here. Now I'll just take my white stained glass panes and replace the pink wool window placeholder blocks with the glass. If you've got a window where there is concrete powder over the top, you can always add that back in after you've added in your windows. There we go. I'm also going to come through to this entryway into the sunroom of the house, and I'm going to place in 4 stairs in the corner like this. Then I'll place in some trapdoors on the 2 sides and at the top. You'll see my concrete powder's fallen here, but I can just move that back in and I can break these 2 blocks. I'm then just going to continue the flooring blocks just underneath that doorway, and you should be left with a really pretty arch. We're actually going to add in the sunroom next, so I've come outside the build. I'm going to grab some stripped cherry logs and count 3 across from the wall and build up 5 high. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll do that on both sides, and then on this back wall I'll count 1 in and add in 2 posts that are also 5 high. I'll then fill in the rest of this outline using some mossy and regular stone brick stairs. Just like that. I'm going to place in a moss block in the 2 corners and then fill in around this outline with some of my stone brick. And then I'm going to add in my flooring just using some of the stripped dark oak logs, and I'm changing up the direction here to add some distinctness to the floor. Now I'm going to create some archways out of my cherry planks. I've got some stairs here like this. I'll then place a trapdoor underneath, and a slab on top, and then a trapdoor to either side. That creates a lovely little archway. Then on the 2 corners, I'm going to place stairs facing right way up, like that, and I'm going to place a slab in this spot here. Now we're going to start adding in some arches going over the top here. So I'm going to place stairs in first on either side. and I'll place a slab on top of these 2 stairs. Then coming up from these posts, I'll go in with some more stairs. And I'm going to place this slab in between the 2, like that. Next I'll grab some cherry planks and come back 2 blocks, and then on the wall behind here I'm going to place 3 blocks across like this. I'm then just going to add in a few stairs going off to either side, just like that. Next I'm going to use some slabs. I'll place 1 in here and then go all the way across so I land on top of these blocks. Just a few slabs to go, and I'm going to place 1 here and 1 on this side here, connecting everything up. Now let's place in some more trapdoors. I'm going to place these at the top and bottom of each of these posts. And then I'm going to grab a couple more slabs and just place them in the corners here beside these stairs. We can then hang some hanging cherry signs from these, and you want to hang them so that they hang on a diagonal like this. We're also going to place some cherry signs on this side here. A great tip in Creative is if you hold Control and then use your middle mouse click button, you can grab the sign without text on it, so it's easy to place lots. And you can see I'm just placing them so they connect up all the way around the archways. Like that. The next step for this sunroom is to come inside and add in the glass. This is definitely easier to do from the inside because you can see where you're placing it. I'm going to place 3 along here, 1 here, and then 3 on the other side, and add 4 blocks on top of that. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you should have a total of 5 blocks high. And it should fill in the gaps just like this. Then I'll build 4 blocks high in all the rest of these base locations. Now we'll go in with some blocks here and here, and then here and here. And you can see we've filled in the whole thing, there's no gaps in the glass. Let's step outside and have a look at the finished product. That looks fantastic. We just have a few more things to add in. I'm going to go in with a couple trapdoors just in these gaps like that. And now we're ready to move on to the next stage of this build. I'm going to move over to the front of the house now. I'm going to grab out some more of my white blocks, and I'm going to count 7 along from this chimney. So I've got 4, 5, 6, 7, like this. Then I'm just going to create a pointed gable coming up, going in 1 block each time. Just like this. Next, I'm going to add in the floor for the second story. I'll add in my ladder first. I'm going to have it going up this post, and then I'll just fill in with some dark oak slabs in all of the gaps. You can see by using slabs, we get a really nice beamed texture from the ceiling below. If you're looking for a great place to play Minecraft with some other awesome builders, check out my Patreon. I have a multi-world server, and it even includes this world where I film all of my tutorials and design all of my builds. Okay, we're all filled in now. I'm going to add in some torches up here ready for when I add in my roof, and I'm going to come back down this ladder to add in a few more, and we're going to work on this fireplace next. I'm going to fill in this gap with some stone brick to start off with, just like that, and I'm going to place chiseled stone bricks on either side. I'm then going to create a little mantelpiece using some stairs, and I'll place a stair at the top with a wall underneath that. And for my fire, I'm going to use a campfire like this. Now I have a couple options for the front of your fire. You can leave it just like this. You could grab out some smooth stone, and I think this might be my favorite option, as well as some iron bars. We're going to create a little hearth like this just by placing them around, or if you'd like to take up slightly less space, you can still leave these smooth stone here and grab some sort of sign. So let's see, I think dark oak is going to work best here, as that's our accent wood for the rest of the build. And you can just place 3 along the front like this. So you just want to go with whatever option fits best with your interior space. I'm going to go with the iron bars. Back on the outside of the build now, we're going to start adding in some details. I'm going to start on the 2 kind of longer side walls by adding in some stripped cherry logs 1 block down from the top. I'll rotate round to the back and add in a few here. You can see I'm having them come out of where the post joins are. I can't add them in here as we have our sunroom here, but that's okay. Then on the shorter walls where we've got our tall gable, I'm going to add them on the top block. Like this. Now on the 2 sides of the larger gable, we're going to create some little archways by placing in some dark oak stairs facing forward with some trapdoors in between. And then I'll come round to this small gable at the back here to add in another sort of archway. I'm going to face my stairs forward over the top of these logs. Then I'll face them in towards each other to create a curved look like this, and then add in a trapdoor in the center. Now I'll come round to the front of the build, and I'm going to add in an upside down dark oak stair here, and then coming out 1 more like this. And then I can add in 3 across from here. Then I'm going to grab some dark oak trapdoors, come 2 across on this upper level, and then come down to the cherry log below to place in my 3rd trapdoor. And then I can place a dark oak stair facing towards them just like that. We're going to start working on the main part of the roof now. So I'm going to begin by adding in 2 cherry logs coming out from each of these gable points. Next, I'm going to create some outlines using my dark oak for these gables. So for the larger gables, I'm going to zigzag in between using some stairs and blocks, just following the shape. You can see I'm placing in these upside down stairs. It gives the build a much cleaner look. Like that. And we're going to do the same thing on the other large gable. Okay, now let's work on this smaller pointy gable. I'm going to place some blocks on top of these 2 outermost upside down stairs. Then we'll go in with some stairs and upside down stairs, 2 more blocks, and 2 more stairs. Like that. Now for the gables at the front. Let's do the smaller gable first. Here we'll just come up to a point. And on this side, we want to mirror this build, so I'm going to actually work downwards to get my spacing correct. And I'll join up to the rest of the chimney, so it should look like that. Before we do the larger part of this front gable, I'm going to come back inside the build, and I'm going to place in 2 upside down stairs above the doorway, and then a log there. Then when we come back outside, you can see that we filled in this gap, and we can just place some stairs coming all the way up to the top of this point, place one underneath here, and then zigzag our way up on the other side. We're also going to create some little swoops with these dark oak stairs. On these 2 front gables, I'm just placing a right way up one and then an upside down one. Oh, and I've missed a stair at the front here, so I'll add that in. Little points like that. On this smaller pointy gable at the back, I'll add a block and then create the same swoop. And then for the very tall gables, I'll add 2 blocks before I create my swoop. And with all that in place, we're ready to start adding in the cherry part of this roof and filling it all in. So I've got blocks, stairs and slabs here, and what I'm going to be doing is I'm just going to start on the back wall here and start zigzagging between this roof line and the main roof line. So we want to be following the outline created by the dark oak each time. So for this layer on the main roof, I'm coming across with my blocks. You can see for this layer on this smaller roof, we're up to stairs, so I'm just going to run the blocks into the stairs on both sides to fill in the gap. We've got a block in here and then a stair on top on this side. Now on the main roof we're up to stairs, so we'll come across like this. And on this roof we're up to blocks, so I'll place in some blocks. And the aim is to have it all connected smoothly without any gaps. So we've got stairs next on this smaller gable and blocks on this larger gable. And stairs again. And we'll just follow this pattern up to the top. Next we need blocks here, and I'm going to connect it right up. And blocks again on the larger roof. I'm going to stop before I get to the very last layer of this roof, as we're going to have a nice curve. But I can also go ahead and add in one more stair here to add a slight curve to this smaller gable. Okay, for this larger curve, I'm going to begin by coming all the way across with my blocks. Then on either end, I'll add in an extra block going up and then a stair. I'll then add in 2 cherry slabs coming off of that, and you can see it creates a nice swoop that follows with the swoops on the end of the roof. Next, we need to start working on the front side of the roof, and I'm going to work on this bit on the left-hand side of the chimney. Just like before, we're following along with the shape created by the dark oak outline. Then I'll come over to these gables here. I'm going to fill in this small gap with some cherry. I've got a slab at the top. And I'll go right back in to fill in that gap there. Then I'm going to start working on this join here, just working our way, mixing between the stairs and the blocks to leave no gaps. I'll then add in a stair here and then just connect it up with some slabs. And I'm going to do the same thing coming behind this chimney now. It'll be a little tricky placing in the stairs behind the chimney, but just kind of move around until you get an easy placement. I think we're up to a block now, and indeed we are. And the rest of the roof is fairly straightforward. We just add in our blocks and then our stairs. And all of our gables are connected up nicely now. It's time to go in with some decorations on the walls, and I'm going to begin by adding in some planters. I've just got a couple different stairs. I've got my mossy and regular stone brick stairs. My first planter is going here, kind of on top of the base of the chimney, and for each of the planters I'll place in moss surrounded by some cherry trapdoors. Over this side I have a 3 wide planter. Now if we go round to this right hand side wall, I've got a 1 wide planter underneath the window and a 3 wide planter over on this side. Now I'll come round to the back wall and I've got a 2 wide planter here. Around again with trapdoors. You might need to creep in here to add the final trapdoor in. And then we've got a 3 wide planter underneath this gap. And then on this final wall, we've got a 1 wide one here and a 3 wide one here. I'm also going to add some planters over on the top part of this build. I'm going to have a 1 wide planter underneath each of the gable windows. And I'm also going to have a 1 wide planter over here on the back. Next I'm going to go in with some decorated pots. I've got the ones with the little hearts on them here, but you could go with any design you have. I'm going to place a couple of these around the build. I'll probably have maybe just the 3 for now. And then I'm going to add in 2 blocks of my stone brick at the front with a stair in the center, and I'll add in 2 more pots on top. Now excluding these 2 pots here, I'm going to add a flower pot inside each of these pots. This will allow me to put an actual plant inside of the decorated pot. There we go. Now I've grabbed out some birch so I can add an archway over the top of this door. I'm just placing some fences inside the pots, then I'll create an arch using stairs, and I'm gonna add one last planter on top of this archway underneath this small window. Now I'm gonna add some more decorations to these larger windows, starting by adding some slabs over the top, and then I've created these custom window shutter banners to go on either side. And I think we've covered all of our windows now. Next, I'm going to hang some lanterns down, just one lantern on here for now. Then I'll add one up here. On these taller gables, I'll hang them down a chain length. And I'll hang them straight off of this log on the smaller gable. Like this. Now I'm going to go in with some cherry fences. I'm going to place these underneath each of the logs sticking out from the posts. Once all of these are added in, I'm going to add in some exterior decorations and do some landscaping. So I've already got some leaves ready that I'm going to start draping down the roof. I really like to use a mixture of azalea leaves, flowering azalea leaves, and cherry leaves on this build. That way you can have the pretty cherry texture, but the green breaks up the lots of pink you already have going on in this color scheme. I'll just start placing these in. You could do this either by placing in all of one type and then changing out the blocks afterwards, or you can just kind of mix up the texture as you go. And the amount of leaves you add to your roof is fully customizable and up to you. I like to have quite a lot, and it gives a really lush feel to the build. Let's go ahead and add in all of these and add in some really beautiful decorations. Okay, I've decorated my beautiful cherry cottage, so let's have a look at ways you could decorate the exterior of this build. So I decided that this has such a pretty pink hue that I should surround it with some other cherry blossom trees. And you can see I've kind of kept these a little bit far away from the actual house so the house can really stand out. And I've used some birch and some oak trees as well to complement the green hints we've got going on in the build. Over to the left here, I've set up a little picnic area with some chairs, and I've done some different kinds of lighting as well as put some little fencing just to define the space a bit more. If we come around this way, I think perhaps a gardener might live in this house. So I've planted a whole load of beetroot and set up a little potting area. You can see I've got a table with some pots that have already been planted and some that need plants put in them. And I even have a composter ready as well as some podzol, as if the compost has spilled out of the compost heap. You can see I've repeated this same fencing design around here using some of these hanging signs, and if you'd like some more exterior decorating options as well as some ideas for decorating inside your build, check out my 1.20 build ideas. I used lots of bamboo and cherry wood in that one. As for planting on the rest of the build, you can see I've stuck to a color scheme of white. I put a few little flower beds here and there, but I haven't used so much color on them, so that way the color in the build can really be the showcase. I've also planted lots of grass around my build, and that just adds to the lush feel. So now you have a beautiful cherry cottage. Be sure to join my Discord to share some pictures of your build and your world. And if you enjoyed today's video, I'd really appreciate it if you could like and subscribe. It helps me out. And check out my Patreon for some more benefits. I'll see you in another video.